How to build a sales funnel that actually makes money. In this video, I'm going to walk you through a couple of numbers, the entire big picture, the process of what needs to happen if you want to be able to build profitable sales funnels online. Now, this all began when I first started out in the online world 12 years ago when I was trying to piece things together. And if you know my story, you know that the first thing that I ever did was I went into the World of Warcraft market. I was a gamer. I spent thousands of hours trying to play this game. And one of the things that I discovered when I first started out was that you need to sell something online. I didn't think I had a strength. So what I did was I created this product that was a World of Warcraft product. It was on a website on how to make more gold playing this game. So I put it up online, and 12 years back then, there was no Facebook. The leader of all platforms back then was Google AdWords. So I put this product up online on a website, and I started spending some advertising money, and I would spend about $10 a day in order to generate a $37 sale. So back then it was very straightforward. I had a website, I put this digital product online, which was like a Microsoft Word file, was like less than 100 pages, sold it for $37. And I would spend $10 a day in order to generate a $37 sale, which was life-changing for me. I will make a consistent sale every single day until, here's what happened. Other people started to realize the power of Google AdWords. More and more people started coming on board, and it became more and more expensive until it became unprofitable. And I was like spending, if I remember correctly, about $50 then to generate a $37 sale. So then when that point in time came, I was actually losing money because I was paying $50 in order to generate a $37 customer. So the first thing we need to understand in this business is that there are two numbers here that's really, really crucial. And by the way, these two numbers, if you watch Shark Tank, you will see that these sharks in Shark Tank always ask these two numbers as well when it comes to deciding whether or not these sharks want to invest in a business. And the two questions they will always ask is, number one, how much does it cost to acquire a customer? And the second question that they will always ask is, how much is an average customer worth? Now, what if I told you that just by understanding this concept and by understanding these numbers, this was what enabled me to scale my business from 5 to 6 figures, 6 to 7, and 7 to 8. So that was when I realized I needed to build a funnel. At that time, the term sales funnel wasn't popular back then. But then I asked myself, if I wanted to stay in the game, I read from this ebook on the concept of upsells. And when I heard about this first time, the analogy used was kind of like going into McDonald's. All of the staff is all trained to ask you, would you like to have fries with that? Would you like go large? Would you like supersize it? That was when I realized, okay, so if that's the case, I decided to create an upsell. So that was when I asked myself, what is the next thing a person needs if they bought this $37 World of Warcraft product from me? So what I did was I created this new upsell, which was $67, which was basically a product to show people what is the other things that they need to do inside World of Warcraft if they want to excel in the game, how to level up faster and all that kind of stuff, which won't make sense to you if you didn't play that game. But basically I sold it at $67, and I realized that 1 out of 3 customers who landed on this page after they bought this product would take me up on this offer. I'm not very good at math, but on average, that would mean it would be 1/3 multiplied by 67, about $23, okay, give or take. In other words, if you take these two amounts and added it together, 37 plus 23, $60, right? Now, notice what happened. I am back in the game. I'm paying $50 to acquire a customer, and now, on average, a customer is worth $60. I have a slight advantage now because I'm paying $50 to generate a $60 customer on average. So it was because of understanding these two numbers. This is the first time I understood what it meant. I want you to understand that the big picture of building a profitable business online through a sales funnel is really just understanding these two concepts. The first one over here, which is cost per acquisition. How much does it cost to acquire a customer? So based on different ads that you run, will have a different cost associated to acquire a customer. So for example, let's say you read an ad on Facebook, and depending on how well or bad you create this ad, who you're targeting, the choice of images, your retargeting, your headlines, your hook, each ad would have a different cost to acquire a customer. And Facebook tells you this, right? So if you spent $100 and you got 5 sales, what is your cost to acquire a customer? It would be $100 divided by 5. Let's say that would be $20 to acquire a customer. The next thing you need to know then is how much is the average cart value, which is like the technical term for it. Your average customer, how much are they worth? By the way, if you use the right funnel, right software rather, I'm gonna put a link below on the same software that shows me how to use this entire thing. If you wanna be able to use the software and the templates that I personally use to build up profitable funnels to have it inside your account, then just go and check out the description. But the average cart value is basically how much is your customer worth. So as long as your cost to acquire a customer is less than how much a customer is worth on average, then you will spend money all day, every day. So for example, let's say your average cart value is $40, which means every time a person goes through your funnel, your sales process, they're worth $40, and it costs you $20 to acquire a customer, how much money would you spend? You would try to spend as much money on this campaign as possible. Would you agree? Because for every $1 you spend, you get back $2 in return. So in other words, the name of the game is just these two things. It's number one, how do you decrease the cost of acquiring a customer? This is basically your ads, who you're targeting, your retargeting. And make sure you watch my other videos where I focus on this part, which is really on the ad copy, your choice of images, your audiences, all of that. This is to reduce the cost of acquiring a customer. At the same time, you want to increase how much is your customer worth on average. And how do you do that? You do that through your sales funnel, through your choice of pages inside your funnel. Step number one would be, for example, capturing their name and email address. Step number two is perhaps your main offer. After that, you might have this thing known as an order bump, which is basically a little checklist that says, yes, I want to upgrade my offer, and maybe a small percentage, 25% of people will usually take that offer. And then after that, you would have upsell number one. When you have upsell number one, again, a small percentage of people, 10, 20, 30% might upgrade on that offer, further increasing how much a customer is worth. And then maybe you might have one more upsell. It is very typical to have 2 upsells. Order bump isn't really considered an upsell, it's more like a by the way kind of thing. So main offer, order bump, upsell 1 and upsell 2. So this is basically the composition of a typical core funnel, which by the way, if you would like to have an example of this specific example in form of an actual funnel where all you need to do is swap out the graphics and change the words, look at the description box below where I have an actual share funnel so that you can just model, copy and paste and deploy it immediately. But this is basically how you build a profitable sales funnel using these steps to increase your average cart value, because Dan Kennedy, a legend online, has always said this: the person who can pay most to acquire a customer wins. And if you can make this customer worth more to you than your competitor, then you can outbid this competitor and pay more to acquire this customer and still be profitable, because this customer is worth much more to you. Let me know in the comments section below what was your biggest takeaway is when it comes to understanding your sales funnel. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And as always, click on the subscribe button for more videos like this one. And if you particularly love this framework, I also have the exact share funnel. Go check it out at the description, and I'll see you in the next video.